Hey, this is Phil Underwood. I'm back with you today for the third installment of what we're calling a new version of you, which was inspired by Dr. David Cooper at Mount Paran Church in my heart to share with you because it was so impactful for me. I said, you know what, whatever comes to me needs to come through me. That's one of the mantras of my life, that if something comes to me that's good, I want to give it away. I want to be generous. I want to be generous with what I have. I want to be generous with what I know. I want to be generous with what I can do. I want to be a generous person, a generous human being. And so I'm sharing what was given to me with you. And we're talking about the new version of you, putting off the old man and being created in true righteousness and holiness. We're going to get to those components a little later this week. But right now today, I want to talk about what it means to move toward the new you, to move toward a godly identity. And the very first thing you have to start with when you move toward a godly identity is trusting the God that you're identifying with, trusting that he has a plan and a will and a pattern for your life. I love the way Paul says to people in Ephesus. He says this is in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. He says, you are God's masterpiece. I love the Greek word there is the word poema. You are God's poema. We get the word poem from that. You are God's creative expression. You right there, talking about you right now. You are created to be a creative expression of God, a loving, abiding, consistent human being that embraced people, that wanted to bring life to people, that loved people, that wanted to lift people. That's who you were created to be. But how do we move into that identity? As we realize that identity is with us all the time. One of the verses that we looked at this week in this is from the story of a man named Joshua. Joshua was a man that was on the second tier. He was always serving the leaders. But there came a day when Joshua, who was faithful and who was full of faith at the same time and thought that he could overcome anything, even giants, that man was given the responsibility for leading the people of Israel. And when he was given the responsibility of the people of Israel, I'm sure he was a little bit intimidated. How would you feel if you went from almost nothing insecure to a place of having to lead 2 million people in a very challenging situation, which they were living in the desert on the edge of the land that they were promised? And I love what this message to Joshua, and it's also a message to us. You know, the Bible, I love the Bible. Not all of the Bible is written to us, but all of the Bible is written for us. I want you to get that. It's not all written to us, but it's all written for us. Like when I read in Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11, I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans of good and not of evil, to give you a hope and a future. Well, I know that wasn't written to me. It was written specifically to the Hebrew people who were in exile in Babylon through a prophet named Jeremiah. Jeremiah was not writing to me. He was not writing Phil a letter. He was giving this message to them. But that clues me into the heart of God. And so even though I know it wasn't written to me, it's written for my benefit, that I can see that's the nature of God. God's not going to lead me into evil. He's not going to lead me into harm. God, while I may experience those things in this life, I have the power to overcome those things living from the inside out. And so in Joshua's case, listen to this. This is in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. God is speaking to Joshua, and he says, hey, I've given you this assignment, haven't I? This is not your own doing, it's my doing. And when we find out the assignment of God for our life, then we don't have to be insecure because we didn't author that assignment. God did. He goes on to say, he says, be strong and of good courage. Again, the word courage means from the heart. Be strong and of good courage. Why? Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So today, when we're exploring our identity and who we are, and we're moving into the new version of you, and we're putting off the old insecurity, immaturity, inconsistencies, when we put that off, and we put on courage, and we put on hope, and we put on faithfulness, then something begins to happen in our life, and the identity of God begins to emerge. Oh man, this is getting good, isn't it? We got a couple days left. I'm Phil Underwood, and we are rewriting the book, and we are in 2024 having a new version of you. See you tomorrow.